You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So, is one of your worst fears getting your dick ripped off by a chimpanzee?
I really think it is.
Is
Honestly.
Is it the chimpanzee part or getting your dick ripped off?
It's getting my dick ripped off because there are so many stories. In fact, every story of a monkey attack, it's like, and then they ripped his genitals off. And it's like, fuck that. Fuck all that shit.
So would you rather have a zombie bite your dick off or a chimpanzee rip your dick off?
Oh, God. See, now that's a fucked up. First of all, I feel like the zombie. Why am I in a position where the zombie's biting my dick off?
I don't know.
Like, why? What am I doing? Like, how much
doing?
alcohol have I consumed for my penis to be in the jaws of a zombie? So I feel like that's my own fault.
Well, how much alcohol have you consumed to be in a room with a chimpanzee?
Well, true, but I mean, I'll tell a story later that this man. Oh my God. Anyway, holy shit. So you may be wondering why we're talking monkeys today, and we'll get to that. But welcome to Night of the Horror File, a podcast where I take a movie or horror movie or a movie in general these days, and have my beautiful wife watch it. So okay. So monkeys.
Wait a second.
Monkeys. What?
We didn't say Happy New Year to anybody.
Oh my God, that's right. It's a new year, new me.
Oh God.
It's a new year. It's a new me. I
hope not.
I absolutely loathe that saying. I don't know why it bothers me so fucking much, but it seems like all the Karens in the world always decide around New Year's Eve and New Year's Day to be like, new year, new me. It's like, no, Karen, no, it's not a new you. You're the same bitch you were last year, and you're just going to get worse year by year. So
don't go to the gym.
Yeah. Everybody's always
gonna go to the gym.
Yeah, they always buy gym memberships and then they never fucking use them.
Oh yeah.
No one ever uses their gym membership half the time when they buy it on New Year's.
Yeah, I think it's I read somewhere, or someone told me that January was the biggest month in gym sales memberships, and then February is like low.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Anyway, so yeah, Happy New Year. Happy 2021. Hopefully it's a little better than 2020, but
everybody's been saying that, but it's going to be the same fucking thing.
I'm holding my breath.
It's the same.
I'm holding my breath. The years just keep getting worse and worse. Eventually we'll be doing this like under the regime of the alien emperors, and
it's better than what's going on right now.
Honestly,
maybe.
I welcome our alien overlords. Viva le Mars or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, speaking of monkeys, what did we watch this week?
Link.
From 1986, Link. I never saw this happening, but this is kind of a lost episode that we're doing.
Yeah. Just revamped in our new way, thank goodness.
Yeah, so much pain went into this episode when we first watched this movie. It was a movie we tried to bring you back when Night of the Horror File was very young. In fact, this little mishap was the reason why we did a casual horror episode back for episode 7.
Yes.
Episode 7, dear Lord. If you're still with us, thank you.
Thanks.
And I'm sorry.
Oh my God. I remember sitting there and I wanted to cry so bad. And I was like, what can we do? What can we do? What we can do? And I was like, you know what? Horror news. There's horror news things all over. And I was like, look on your phone, see if there's anything horror related you want to talk about, because I have no fucking clue.
Yes. If you go back and listen to that, it is so funny because we're like, new Nightmare movie. Talk about that. That might be a thing. Yeah. It's just a lot of that. That episode's so funny because we were so pissed off. Basically, we had a computer mishap where like we were using some subpar equipment back in the day, and the computer we were using was like a Windows 7 computer. So it was like way not able to handle what we were trying to put through it. And fucking everything, the entire episode. And we recorded an entire episode, I think 2 hours, because we weren't quite trimming these things like we are now. Like we've gotten it down to where our notes and stuff are tight and stuff. We know exactly how long the episode's going to be. But back then it was like you were hitting like 2.5 hours sometimes.
Oh my God.
Remember The Thing? How many long pauses the Thing had in it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So anyway, so yeah, that entire episode was ruined. It was not usable. And we just sat there and cried for a minute and then had to come up with something on the fly. But Link is a 1986 British horror flick starring Elizabeth Shue and General Zod himself, Terrence Stamp. In 1979, director Richard Franklin optioned a short outline for a movie he referred to as Jaws with Chimps. Richard, that's not what we got.
No. Wow. That's a statement.
Oh, he's got my dick. Okay, anyway. Now he sat on that and oh shit.
He sat on that
sat on that dick. Now he sat on this outline until he read one of Jane Goodall's stories on her experience living amongst the chimps in National Geographic. Now, it was a specific study in the violence of chimps and stuff amongst their clans. I don't know how you would say that. I don't study that, but which you bet your ass we are going to go into that in a bit.
Oh God.
Of chimps and their dick ripping ways.
I'm not betting my ass on that though.
I don't know. They might rip your ass too. Who fucking knows? Now Everett DeRoche wrote the script, but Franklin had a bit of trouble getting the funding for Jaws with Chimps. So he moved on to bigger projects, specifically Psycho 2. And you like that, didn't you? But he moved on to bigger projects like Psycho 2 and a film Cloak and Dagger, which was a Dabney Coleman spy flick. Now, with those in the bag, financiers were more apt to help Franklin get his Jaws with Chimps off the ground. I keep saying that because this is not Jaws with Chimps. I don't know. I don't know what he was going for, but it's not. It's more like Birds with Chimps. It's more like The Birds, like in the feel and the general mood and stuff like that. But we'll get into why I think that later on. Now we have a lot to go into here, surprisingly. So let's swing into 1986's Link.
So this starts with me killing you. I'm going to get a chimp and I'm going to bring it in here and release it to you and make it rip off your dick.
The best thing is you don't even have to train them to rip their dicks off. It's like it's ingrained in their DNA. They just know to rip the dick off. That's why I'm not a big monkey fan. I think you'll learn this through this episode. I don't care for monkeys that much. I'll watch them. You know, I'll watch a Dunstan checks in, but I'm not going to enjoy it because that monkey is going to rip your dick off. Anyway, or ape. I don't know. But this is kind of shocking, but of course there was an extreme amount of pressure on Richard Franklin to use makeup and special effects and men in suits as opposed to using real apes, which can be very unpredictable. Yeah, just ask a guest featured on Oprah back in the day. I don't know if you remember this.
I think I do.
It was the worst Oprah segment ever because this lady went through hell in this chimp attack, which, you know, might have deserved it, but you know, I'm not going to go into that. But she had her hands ripped off, or her fingers were all ripped off and shit, and it had like ate her face off.
Yeah.
And Oprah, in the middle of this, because this lady's wearing a veil, of course,
mm-hmm.
She's like, "Can we see your face? Can we see?" It's like, Oprah.
Oh my God.
What the fuck, Oprah? Because you know she's sitting like in her mind, because she was saying it nicely, you know,
right?
But in her mind, she's probably like, I want to see this shit. I want to see this fucking shit. This is fucked up.
You know what's really fucked up? She probably saw it before the show.
Oh, yeah. She was probably like, oh, we're unveiling this. This
We're
lady looks like
showing
a fucking
America
potato. It's going to be great. Anyway.
Oh my God.
As you can see, we're going to have fun today. But Franklin thought it would be dishonest to use men in monkey suits. That's his words. I really think it's just like a man in a monkey suit is going to look ridiculous in this movie. So we're going to just use regular apes, which these apes that they got, you know,
Orangutans.
yeah, we'll talk about that. But the apes that they got, the chimps and the orangutan and stuff like that, they could only act. See, when you have animals on screen, you can only have them there before they lose interest for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. So think about how many takes and how many. It took like 45 days to shoot this movie. 45 days on Link.
I don't know how many days movies take.
I don't know. But
45 days. Oh.
Too long for this. But anyway, he used a lot of cinematography tricks and stuff here and there to kind of convince us that the apes were on screen with the actors half the time. And, you know, it's he used a lot of good camera techniques in this movie, especially with the cinematographer. And to me, it's pretty convincing. I mean, he does a decent job here.
Sure.
Jaws with chimps, everybody. Jaws with chimps.
Sure. So this movie starts with something chasing a cat. A little girl's in her bed with her window open and hears something. And surprisingly, the girl's parents are watching a movie with a gorilla in it.
Surprise. Now, the story is that this film was cut pretty heavy-handed. And I'll explain why later on. But the opening scene here was added later to give it more of a horror vibe. While it does serve to explain that these apes can escape whenever, or one ape can escape whenever, and but it also kind of confuses you because we know it's a killer monkey by the poster.
Right.
I mean, we know what we're getting into. We don't need a POV Halloween intro here.
No.
What would have been really funny if it stopped like after it killed the cat and stuff like that, and it's like Michael, and then you just unmask an ape. Oh no! The night he swung home. But anyway, what you hear during these opening credits is the score by the late great Jerry Goldsmith. Holy shit! Does he know how to score a movie, or did he know how to score a movie? Now he did the score to Gremlins in '84, which is similar to this one. It's kind of light and circus themed, even though its subject matter is pretty dark. Which I think Jerry was great at doing that shit.
Oh yeah. Then we see the cat on the roof, and there are birds in a cage, and the cage starts to open. The girl hears a cat scream and gets scared, and on the roof now are all the birds dead and the cat.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, anyway. The sequence here reminds me of a sequence that was used in George A. Romero's Monkey Shines, the movie about a disabled man who has to use a capuchin monkey for a helper, and it ends up falling in love with him and murdering people.
Oh,
that's a movie for another day.
Okay,
that movie's amazing. But
is it the Jaws with chimps?
No, it's more like Fatal Attraction with a capuchin monkey.
Hey, there was a TV show called Fatal Attraction about killer animals. Was it called Fatal Attraction?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, it was called Fatal Attraction.
Interesting.
But people that had animals that they shouldn't have, like monkeys and tigers and lions and shit, in their houses. Oh, okay. Well, fuck you too then. But they would attack them. Yeah. And they called it Fatal Attraction.
Well, that's why I kind of made that remark at the beginning. It's nothing against that lady who has no face now, but it is more like,
what did you expect?
What? Yeah. Like, let's not keep a monkey as a child.
No.
And then when it gets 30, it like beats the shit out of you and rips your dick off. And then we're all shocked. Oh no. Bubbles the monkey fucking just went fucking berserk, and the cops had to put him down. It's such a shocker.
You mean that I cannot have a monkey in my New York apartment?
Fuck that monkey.
I will never take it outside.
Do not bring a monkey around this part.
I mean,
Monkeys are not
I
welcome.
don't have a New York apartment. But
Thank you. Anyway, the film the parents are watching with that lady in the gorilla suit is Blonde Venus, starring Cary Grant. That's Maureen Dietrich as disrobing as a gorilla there. A similar thing, they kind of ripped it off in Batman and Robin when Poison Ivy comes out in the giant pink gorilla costume and then she disrobes in a very similar manner. I think somehow I just connected Link with Batman and Robin. Anyway, there was a big wave of pictures in the 30s and 40s that celebrated gorillas and stuff, you know. A lot of movies really, throughout the ages, really fascinated with apes and stuff like that. I mean, you have King Kong, you have Mighty Joe Young, you have all those movies.
oh my God, I was going to say Godzilla. Different movie.
Godzilla did fight King Kong at one point, and he's going to fight him again in the remake.
There's going to be, never mind.
I don't think you could classify it as a remake but
Why
it kind of is.
Do we need it? Do we need it?
Yes, we do, because I saw that last Godzilla flick, and holy shit, it was just monsters wailing on each other the entire time, and I was satisfied. I was satisfied. Yeah, I mean, with those movies and stuff, and it's not so much anymore, but like, you had people making careers out of playing apes. Like dressing up as monkeys and stuff. It's wild to think of that was
crazy.
such a prominent thing at the time.
Right.
So basically, though, if you cut this scene with the Halloween intro we have here, if you cut this scene, the stuff with Terrence Stamp are allowed to breathe more and they play longer. Those scenes go on longer later on, and it creates this vibe that's more of a psychological thriller in this movie, which that's what Richard Franklin was actually going for. He was actually going for a more psychological movie, not just killer ape. he wanted to get people thinking, kind of like The Birds. The Birds is the same way. You could watch it one way as just, you know, killer birds, whatever. But also another way you could approach it is look at it like, okay, what's happening here? Is Mother Nature trying to take back the earth from us who are destroying it and stuff like that? There's deep little messages and stuff to unwrap in that.
Oh,
Link is kind of the same way. It tries to get there, but I think with I'm going to go against what I've said on this show for so long, where I say the deleted scenes don't matter. I've said it a million times where it's like, you know, what we see on the movie is what we get. But when it comes to Link, though, if you watch those deleted scenes, which they come with the Kino Lorba DVD I purchased, if you watch those deleted scenes, this movie makes a shit ton more sense. And it's kind of more impactful. Like Terrence Stamp's character is much more developed in the deleted scenes, and there's so much more to him in those deleted scenes because you kind of feel bad for him and stuff like that. And, but at the same time, he's a great character. But we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
We will get there.
So now we are at London College of Scientists.
Ooh.
A woman named Jane sneaks into a classroom where they're talking about monkeys, and the professor is talking about Imp, the monkey that's down there on the, not on stage, but you know what I mean, his pet monkey or whatever. And he's talking about how he listens to him without force, and then he starts talking a little bit about Jane Goodall.
Right.
So wait a second.
Okay.
My first thing I don't like about this movie,
Okay.
why would their main character's name is Jane?
Oh, you caught
Really,
that, did you?
You couldn't be more original.
You caught that little nod
her name
there?
couldn't be Sally.
Oh, isn't that clever, though?
Oh, so clever.
Sally. I don't know. I'd rather have Jane. So the professor here is played by the great Terrence Stamp, who I mentioned earlier, who listeners know as General Zod from the original Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Oh, yeah.
The Limey is probably one of Terrence Stamp's best movies. A great actor. So a big influence on this film was that article I mentioned by Jane Goodall that outlined violence in primates that she observed in the wild. Now, she had observed intertribal warfare, and this kind of threw the notion that humans were the only ones humans were the only ones who wage war on each other, threw that out the window.
Oh, right.
You know? really, Jane Goodall was like so like important to our understanding of
right.
monkeys and even civilization as we know it.
Right.
Like so much is credited to her for that. But she's one of the greatest primatologists and Oklahoma school system anthropologists. Holy shit, I can't pronounce things in history. But you know, I got to ask a question.
Oh God, I know where this is
Now
going.
you're with apes most of the time, right?
Mhm.
Get a little lonely. You're living out there studying. You're naming them, which is kind of against what they used to do. You know, they used to just name them by numbers. She gave them names. You think you start getting a little lonely, and
No.
Steve the monkey starts looking, you know, kinda
Not
good.
1 minute.
Not-
Not one bit.
not gonna fuck a monkey.
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
You know, there's an old movie where this lady fucks a monkey. Anyway, you want the monkey to fuck her? Anyway,
Whoa.
that's a thing.
Whoa. No. Steve the monkey does not look pretty good. Steve the monkey can stay over there fucking Sally the monkey.
Bringing you bananas and shit.
Nope.
Trying to
Nope.
no, nothing.
I'd rather fuck the banana.
Oh, they might watch.
Okay.
Steve might want to eat that banana. Steve's got some kinks. Anyway, moving on. We're getting into monkey kinks.
Wow. Nope. Still not having sex with Steve.
Do you know they not long ago they found out that monkeys actually like shape sticks and stuff to use them as masturbatory devices. Like they're making their own sex toys out there.
That's cool.
I
That's
know,
cool.
pretty good, you know.
I just realized the difference between females and males. Males would be out there for years and they'd be looking at those female monkeys thinking, yeah, I could fuck a monkey.
I could probably get it in on a monkey. That'd be all right.
And I could live 30 years with the monkeys and be like, nah, good.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd give in to fucking the monkey. I don't know if I'd do it. You don't think so?
I think you would.
What?
30
You
years.
think I'd fuck a monkey?
30 years.
Just fucking 30 years later, they find me with this giant fucking beard and shit. Just shacked up with a monkey. Unhand her, that's my wife. Anyway, back to the movie.
Oh my goodness. Is that why the men get their dicks pulled off?
Probably. Well, we'll talk about why.
Because they're trying to fuck the women monkeys?
Probably. We will talk about why they get their dicks ripped off. In
Okay.
A minute. I did a little research.
Okay. Anyway, so when class is over, Jake goes to talk to Dr. Phillip, the professor, about being his assistant. And he says she can't work with him because she's a girl. And I was mad at first, but then I realized, but he's not looking for assistant. He's looking for sperm samples.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know. Then he finds that Imp has eaten a bird and says that he's been getting out at night and eating cats.
Mhm.
So we know that Imp is the one that went and killed all those birds and cats. And then he ends up offering Jane an assistant job at his house on the coast.
Yeah. So Jane, who I'm all sure we all know why she's named Jane, is played by Elizabeth Shue. This is pretty early in her career. In fact, it's between The Karate Kid and Adventures in Babysitting. But here in this movie, I swear everybody is trying to get in her pants, including the monkeys.
Yes.
You'll notice though that a lot of this movie is kind of factual. It kind of goes along with what we knew about apes back then.
Right.
At least as factual as you could get in 1986, like I said. We've made a lot of progress, I hope. I do appreciate the fact that Dr. Phillip doesn't go right for misogyny as he could,
Right.
even though there is kind of an underlining thing, and we'll kind of discuss that. We almost think he does that with the girl comment, but that's only because he was looking for sperm samples. Now, the sperm sample thing kind of throws you for a loop.
Right.
It never comes up again.
Right.
But in the deleted scene, there's a whole scene where she's asking him, well, what did you need the sperm samples for? And he goes into where he talks about this experiment that the Chinese did with hamsters where they tried to impregnate them with human sperm.
Ew.
So it puts an almost mad scientist spin on Dr. Phillips to whereas like, was he trying, because through this movie, and if you watch the deleted scenes, you get the notion that he's looking for that missing link between us and the great apes and stuff like that.
Lee?
Haha, clever again. But there's so many on the nose naming in this movie. But he's looking for that missing link. So is he trying to create a human hybrid monkey thing?
I hope not.
Isn't that fucking disturbing though,
That's
when you
pretty
start thinking
disturbing.
about it? But anyway, but he kind of brushes past why he needed the sperm sample, but he tells her that story and it's like, oh, wait a second, what?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Were you trying to inject sperm into a monkey, dude?
A monkey dude.
No. Well, that wouldn't work. We need to talk to Dr. Phillips about the birds and the bees. But anyway. See, we're having fun here. We're having fun. Oh.
So a few weeks later, Jane is being brought to the coastal house. She opens the door to the house and there's a monkey in a suit. This is Link. He grabs her bags and takes her upstairs and she hears the phone ring. So she goes and answers it, then goes to get Dr. Phillip. And he's kind of threatening the chimps that are trying to go up her skirt.
Yeah. So I appreciate the sprawling countryside shots we get here, you know.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's very gorgeous. Parts of this film were shot in St. Abbs, Scottish borders, various spots of Scotland and the UK. It helps establish that we are as removed from the jungles as possible. You know?
Right.
I mean, you get that even though the intro scene at the beginning really doesn't have anything to do with the movie.
Mhm.
Very much, you still get like that urban thing.
Right.
There's no jungles in this movie, which is kind of nice.
Right.
Because it kind of helps with it kind of helps with Richard Franklin's vision of a contrast between jungle and wild, with civilization, old world style, and high culture. It's the themes he's playing on here. One of the prominent themes here is that we are not as removed from our primitive cousins as we'd like to think, sadly. I mean, how many times have you wanted to tear off a male boss's genitals, rip his hands off, and eat his face? Constantly, right?
My
Constantly.
last boss. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, my last male boss. I guess I should
right.
say.
I mean, it's just something we never like really sit down and think about as humans because we're kind of self-absorbed. We think we're high above everything else in the world, and so we put ourselves on these pedestals. But then when you stop to think, it's like, well, what are the main things we really do? We eat shit and fuck. And that's reproduce. That's pretty much what we do.
Right.
We're animals.
Yeah.
And some people haven't evolved as much as everybody else.
I've met a few apes in my day.
Just look at our last administration. But anyway, moving on.
So Dr. Phillips talks to the person on the phone, and he's trying to get rid of some of his troubled monkeys. Link gets the monkey in the suit, and he doesn't listen very well.
Now, one thing I don't know is, are we using the word monkey and ape right? Because I know
I have no idea.
I'm so confused about that, but that's okay.
Well, really, I think they're all primates.
Yeah, because I think all of them are apes. I think chimps and orangutans are apes, even though Link isn't supposed to be an orangutan. But
I'm just going to use monkey because it's
fun.
easier.
And monkey's funnier.
I mean,
monkey.
Are they
Love the word
offended
monkey.
by it?
I hope not. I hope we're not going to get letters from.
Good thing I don't have a dick.
I mean, Locke, the orangutan that played Link, is way dead by now, I hope.
Probably.
Speaking of Locke, the orangutan that plays Link, yes, I know the name of the ape actor in this film. By the way, Locke deserves an award or something for his acting in this movie, by the way. I don't know how he pulled off Lecherous Monkey, but he does later on. So originally in the script, Link is a chimp. We even see a poster of his old circus days, and he's displayed as a chimp. Now, for some unknown, probably high as fuck reason, the trainers dyed Locke's fur black and fitted him with prosthetic ears to make him more chimp-like, even though you could have just changed what type of ape he was in the screenplay, and it would have been just fine. So they dyed this poor fucking monkey.
Oh my gosh.
But one other theme that is playing out here is the opposite ideas of how to treat these chimps. Jane has a more human approach, treating these animals more like children and not quite equals,
Right.
but more like what they probably need to be treated like. But at the same time, she gets too close to them. And we'll talk about the 3 rules she's given and then breaks immediately. But, but Philip has more of a cold approach to these things. They're more like a product,
Right.
Or a sideshow, as in Link's case. He doesn't quite respect them.
It's because they are his science experiments.
Yeah, exactly. So while he constantly talks about their IQs and boosts stuff, the strength that they hold and stuff, he talks about that. But he holds on to that idea that humans are the more dominant species at all times. And maybe that kind of leads to his downfall later because he underestimates these things.
Oh. So he goes over the rules with Jane. 1, she is the dominant species, or humans are the dominant species. 2, don't let anything escalate. And 3, don't get involved in their fights.
This kind of reminds me so much of Gremlins because you got the 3 rules. In Gremlins you have what was it?
Don't feed them
don't
after
feed them
midnight.
after midnight. Don't get them wet, and no bright lights,
right?
Or no sunshine or anything like that. But Elizabeth Shue immediately breaks all 3 of these rules in the film. Now there is kind of a nice discussion in this about our connection to the animals.
Right.
What helps this film stick out from the normal killer animal movies or creature features is that it is kind of steeped in scientific thought, as much as you could get in 1986.
Right.
But there's a lot of really good ideas in this on how the only thing that separates us from our ape cousins is civilization. You'll hear that said over and over again in this movie, civilization. We have music, art, and all sorts of creations and inventions that separate us from the animal kingdom. But at the end of the day, how separate from them are we really? I mean, it was around this time that they discovered that, because mankind, or I'm sorry, not to sound misogynistic, but humans were considered the tool makers. Like that was one of the big things that separated us from the animal kingdom. We create tools to build and stuff like that. But then it was discovered that, the chimps do that too.
Right.
They craft their own tools, build their own things and stuff like that. And so it's, how separate really like are we from our cousins in the wild? It's a little creepy.
Bum, bum, bum. It's gonna be a chimp alien takeover.
Fuck. I welcome it.
So the doctor and Jane sit down for dinner, and he tells her a story about a chimp that attacked a man because he was happy to see the man. Jane tells him that she's seeing a boy, David, from his class, and Link brings them cigars to smoke after dinner. And Jane wants to know more about Link. The doctor says that he's 45, and she goes on to say that she doesn't like that he wears clothes and smokes. She thinks that he should be a monkey, I guess.
Right. It's kind of like, because we're not really told if Link was trained to be this way, even though we assume because he was with the circus.
Right.
Or maybe he just chooses to do this because he likes it. That's it's kind of a horrifying little thought.
Well, the doctor does say that he says try taking the clothes off of him.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, oh, that's kind of weird. They want to be us. No, but anyway, you have to wonder why we are so weirded out by Link's behavior and why, Jane is so weirded out by that. It's a social conditioning that we are the dominant species, as I said, and only we are allowed to smoke cigars and wear clothes. What makes it all more freaky, as I said, is that Link actually likes doing these things. It's not someone forcing him in this movie to do all this, which blurs the lines we as humans set up to keep us separate. Perhaps our fear of returning to a more primitive state is what makes Link a horror film. But, if you peel back the layer of social behaviors such as bathing and morals, which I'm sorry to freak everybody out, but morals is a socially built and held dynamic.
Dun, dun, dun.
Nothing in the universe says we are supposed to have morals.
Right.
Like we've constructed that to keep going as a civilization.
But the Bible told me.
we're going to skip that. The Bible also talks about poop bread, but we won't go into that. But
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's built up to keep us from ultimately destroying ourselves in the end. But if you peel that back, you see those primitive things bleed out. We have war, we have murder. Hell, even sex has an extreme connection to the animal kingdom. It has that vibe to it. We just do all three in a more technologically developed way.
Yeah.
We do all those things in a more developed way, more civilized way, with weapons, sex toys, and of course birth control. We keep all those things in check, but in the end, we're just a few genomes and DNA mutations away from swinging in a tree and establishing ourselves as the alphas among our community by ripping off the other alpha's dick.
Can I do that? Can I do that?
Go for it. I don't know how far you get. We have guns.
Oh my God, I hit my microphone. Oh my goodness.
Oh, shit.
So the next day, Jane goes to see the doctor in his lab, and he shows her a nonverbal IQ test that he does with the chips.
I really like the computer stuff in this movie. Like, we're not going to go too into it throughout this, but I really love the computer stuff in this movie. Like, there's a lot of it's not sci-fi or anything like that, but it's real 1986 weird. You know what I mean? Like, they're pressing buttons to do words and stuff like that. And
yeah.
I don't know. I just really appreciate that addition to this movie.
I should show you something on TikTok. There's a dog that talks like the monkeys do.
He ain't allowed.
Her name is Bunny.
Oh, God.
And she's cute as hell.
Oh, God. The animal kingdom's going to take over, you guys.
Yes. So Imp is starting to act up while they're playing this game, and the doctor's getting really frustrated. Jane says that she has the upper hand with things and that this just isn't fair because she's been studying shapes her whole life. And Dr. Phillip freaks the fuck out.
Yeah,
he was like, circles, squares, triangles, because he's been working with them.
Yeah, because he's trying to teach them how to do these things. And, he makes a good point because he's trying to figure out why can't they do what we do. And he's, like I said, he's trying to find that missing link that's there. Like, what links us to our common ancestor.
Right.
One of the many things that people get confused about evolution is that we came from monkeys. We did not come from monkeys. We're related to the monkeys.
Right.
We all came from the same general ancestor is what evolution teaches us. But basically, the thing about what he's getting frustrated about here is that what he's telling her is that he's raised them around shapes, squares, fruits, and all these things. So why is it not connecting with them? Why don't they get it? And that's his frustration here.
Right.
There is a scene cut that kind of bridges the night before with Link and stuff when they're when he's smoking a cigar and stuff and while they're having dinner. It kind of bridges the night before to this. And in that cut scene, Philip comes into her room and gives her this book that's been signed, and he's been drinking and stuff like that. So he's a little tipsy, but inside it basically says if she's lonely, he's there. Not quite those words, but it's still a little salacious. And that's another thing that that makes the movie better if you add those deleted scenes into it. It's like, what did he really have her come out for? Is he having her there for some companionship, or is he also trying to figure out what the hell happens if I introduce a female to these apes? Because there's also a deleted scene where he's showing them the female form. And he's showing her the monkey's Jane's lips and how her body is shaped differently than men and stuff like that.
Ew.
Yeah, and it really adds a really weird psychological factor to this movie. But yeah, it just it goes back to me going back on what I said. The deleted scenes actually make Link a better movie. The only way you could see this all connected together, I believe, is the French cut of the movie. But sadly, the French cut is in French, so. So, good luck with that, I guess.
Dang it. So the doctor sends Jane down to make lunch and says that he has to get Voodoo, one of the monkeys that he's selling, a sedative and get her in her cage. And there's going to be a lot of ruckus. Jane comes back with lunch, and Imp is acting a fool, and Dr. Phillips tells her to leave and don't come back.
Yeah. An actual chimp plays voodoo by the name of Carried. Yes, I know the name of the chimp actors. An adult chimp, actually, is what we see here, which is rare in movies. Now you may notice that chimps aren't really in movies much, and most of the time when you do have an ape or a chimp or something in a film, they're little. They're a lot younger. Little capuchin monkeys too. They'll use those, or orangutans. Capuchin monkeys are. Did you ever see Ace Ventura?
I know what a capuchin monkey is.
Okay, yeah, they're little helper monkeys.
Yeah.
That's because chimps are actually very aggressive. Like we've already said, and usually they aren't used past, like I said, their infant or juvenile stages. That's because when they get older, captive primates tend to become very violent. I'm not sure if anyone remembers, but 10 or more years ago, do you remember this? There was a rash of attacks from chimpanzees on their owners who were keeping them as pets.
Don't keep wild animals as pets.
Fucking exactly. One famous case involved a lady who kept them as pets. One snapped one day and tore her hands off and ate her face. It even attacked the police officer who came to help by ripping the door of his squad car off. This cop had to unload his fucking gun into this thing before he died.
Oh my goodness.
This actually led to a decline in apes and monkeys being used in films. You'll notice they don't appear much like they used to. I mean, we grew up. We had Dunstan Checks In. We had MVP, Most Valuable Primate. All those fucking movies with chimps in it. There was a lot. I know you didn't watch that stupid shit. That's fine. We're never gonna watch Dunstan Checks In, and you'll be happier for it. But no, you notice there's a lot less. There was a film by the name of Creepers that came out around the same time period, where a disabled man has a chimp as a helper animal. That movie was directed by Dario Argento, and most of us know it by the name Phenomena. It starred Jennifer Connelly and Donald Pleasance, but I just mentioned that for our listeners, but.
I know those names.
Yeah.
Dario
Yes,
Argento.
we did Suspiria.
Jennifer Connelly, maybe.
Yep.
But I definitely know Donald Pleasance.
Yes, you do.
From what? I don't know, but I've heard those names before.
Halloween, Donald Pleasance.
I've heard those names before.
But I don't understand how I'm connecting all these movies to Link. We're connecting Halloween. We got Batman and Robin in there.
I have no fucking
It all
clue.
comes back to Link.
It's the missing link.
They're gonna have to put me in a home because I'm trying to connect every movie to Link.
You're fucking Charlie Day and Always Sunny.
I have the strings. Who's Pepe Silva?
There is no Pepe Silva.
Oh shit!
I love that. Sorry. No, we're connecting Not How I Met Your Mother. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
See, what the fuck is happening?
I have no idea. So anyway, the phone rings and Jane answers, and it's Bailey, and he wants to make sure that the doctor is going to meet him with the monkey today. Mm-hmm. And Jane then finds. I'm
sorry, I don't know why that's funny to me.
I have no idea. So she's like, yeah. He says he's going to be there. Blah blah blah. Then she's looking around and she finds a cellar, and she goes exploring in it. Mm-hmm. The doctor is fighting with Imp and trying to get Link to help him, but Link lets Voodoo out of her cage, and now all three of them are surrounding him.
There is another deleted scene. I don't know if you felt a little weird that Jane just all of a sudden explores a cellar.
Yes.
Well, there was a deleted scene where Dr. Phillips explains how the house used to be used for bootlegging, and how there's a cellar that leaves. So that's how she knows it's there. And why she is interested in it and stuff like that, because it's kind of historical and stuff like that. So again, what the fuck? So there's a weird effect they use here, and they used it at the beginning and stuff with Imp, as we see the point of view and stuff as Imp's running around eating cats and shit. But it's like a dropped frame effect which is really fucking weird.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very strange.
I don't know if I care for that.
No.
But Richard Franklin, who sadly passed in 2007, he was a huge admirer of Hitchcock, which led him to do Psycho 2 before this film. And the mood and mystery elements that he loved from Hitchcock are present in this movie, which lends to its more creepy vibes. I wouldn't go out and say Link is an all-out horror movie, but it's creepy. It's got really creepy vibes coming from humans and animals in this movie. But there's also a mystery here as to what happened to the doctor. You know, we know the apes killed him, but we don't know where he is.
Right.
Or what happened to him, really. What I like about Philip as a character is that he's not quite good and he's not quite bad. He's this gray area.
You know very much so. Yeah. Because you're not sure if he's a mad scientist or if he's just some weird dude.
Yeah. Well, because again, there's so many deleted scenes, and most of those deleted scenes help us understand Philip more.
Right.
Because there's even a scene where, and you notice in the movie where she's in the bedroom, she looks over and she sees a picture of Philip with, I think, a wife and a kid.
Yeah.
And that never comes up again.
Right.
So you're like, wait, what? But he talks about it in the fucking deleted scene. He talks about his wife who died and stuff like that. And it's when he's drinking and stuff. So you get like, there's some pain underneath his character and stuff like that we're not aware of, which, like I said, just we don't know how to feel about Philip in this fucking movie as is, you know, without those deleted scenes. So
good thing he died.
Yeah, died, no joke. He's kind of a confusing character up until this point.
Right. So Jane moves stuff around the cellar and finds it leads to a cave in the side of the mountain overlooking the ocean. She then goes inside to check on the doctor. She doesn't open the door, but she hears his voice saying, "Go away, leave me alone." She then finds Link trying to light a match in the stove while the stove is on.
Yeah. A lot of the animal trainers, even the ones in this movie, are animal rights activists. That may come as a surprise to you.
That's weird.
That's something that surprises most people, actually. Most of these animals have to be comfortable on film.
Well, yeah.
One thing we talked about with this is how British this movie really is.
Oh my God.
I got to get into that. It's a polite fucking movie. I don't know how much more to explain it as, but it's polite. Like,
I agree.
Link, but it also makes Link an easy watch. Like, hey, you know, you mentioned, and I was going to ask you later, but you mentioned how you were bored. I don't find this movie boring, but like, what were the parts that were really boring you?
I mean, it just dragged on. Like,
yeah, because in all honesty, we don't really get Ape Carnage until her date or her boyfriend or whatever comes up with his friends. We don't really get much carnage going on besides the Philip scene, which
I wish they would have explained a little bit more as to why they went crazy.
Well, they kind of do in those deleted scenes.
That's what I'm saying.
Preaching these deleted scenes.
See, I think it would have been better with the deleted scenes in there because they just don't explain a lot of things, and not that they necessarily need to. It's just it would have added a little bit more to the story and made it a little less boring.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Link, the movie, if you can feel like it's trying to be deep, like it feels like it's trying to get to something, like, but it's also confused. Like, it doesn't know if it wants to be a sci-fi like horror movie or a deep study and stuff like that, which it's like, okay, well, you're going to need to give me one or the other.
Right.
That's the flaws of this movie, is it does not give you either one. So like you're kind of stuck in this gray area to where it's like it's almost a thriller and almost a character study. And then it just combines that two into the mishmash that we kind of get. And so you kind of got to enjoy it as it is.
Right.
That's the hard part about it.
You enjoy it or you don't.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Jane and Link fight about him trying to cook, and she kicks him outside, but notices they're that the doctor's car is gone.
Yeah.
When she goes inside, she notices that Link has gone back inside now, and he's trying to cook the phone in the microwave.
So Ray Bearwick, which, by the way, the animal trainer on this, he actually had his claim to fame from working with Alfred Hitchcock on The Birds. More connections to Hitchcock. He also worked on Damien the Omen 2 with these ravens that were really creepy in that movie. I love Damien. He worked on Gremlins with the dog in that film. But it's kind of weird because he did all this stuff with mostly birds and dogs, and then all of a sudden he does Link with apes and Hot to Trot, a Bobcat Goldthwait horse movie. Oh, that fucking
That's
movie.
weird.
One thing I know it's really weird how these people's careers kind of fluctuate and stuff like that. But one thing we really haven't touched on is that Link is a really creepy little lecherous little ape.
Oh yeah.
Like, he leaves her some fake fruit one morning as a gift, and stuff like that. And he's trying to get really close to her.
So something I noticed
Okay.
that I remember talking about in our original podcast of this, we had talked about how when he takes her bags upstairs, he takes her into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, what are we doing?
like he was being a little creepy there. Like,
yeah, he's a
why are
rapey
you-
monkey.
he's kind of a rapey
He's
monkey.
rapey. Oh,
Like my ex-husband.
this is your ex-husband of the ape world.
Yes.
Just let me get it a little bit. Just let me get it a little bit. Just fuck off, dude. Stop trying to fuck my wife.
Right. Anyway, Jane falls asleep and then wakes up in the middle of the night. The door to the lab is now locked with a padlock on the outside. So she goes to get the key for it. She goes inside and sees that Imp is kind of caught in his cage.
Yeah.
So she saves him, and she's looking for food for Imp when she finds Voodoo is dead.
Yes.
But she does not find the doctor,
No.
who she thinks is gone.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when you start like putting two and two together, Imp is more the gizmo of these monkeys. You know what I mean? Like,
Because he's a baby.
yeah, he's more the just a good monkey, good monkey. But
Just ornery.
but Link probably ended up killing Voodoo because she's. You hear Dr. Phillip explain it. He brushes on it a little bit at the beginning, where he's like, she's usually much more territorial. When Jane is walking up to the house, Voodoo is up at the top, and he says, "I can't believe she let you come up here," and stuff like that. And that's because she's a territorial ape, and so like Link probably killed her,
Right.
to have Jane, which again, rapey monkey. Richard Franklin, he honestly does a very good job at the Hitchcock suspense thing. What's creepy is, Link cooks the phone, and then here in a minute, he does like break the phone line and shit like that.
Right.
So he's secluding Jane for himself.
Dun, dun, dun.
It goes along, and it's probably the reason he killed Philip, because in those deleted scenes, Philip is kind of hitting on her.
Right.
A little bit, and Link sees that. And so there's a power struggle
That's
thing
my
there. It's
bitch.
fucking crazy. It probably ripped Philip's dick off. And
We don't see that in this movie.
and that's a shame. I think if you're going to try to cut all this shit that really gives us a nice story and stuff, you better give me some dick rippage or some kind of more gore than I'm getting.
Heck yeah.
Like,
I agree. So it's daylight now, and Jane tells Link that she has to go to town to find Dr. Phillip. So she has to walk, obviously.
Yeah.
And Link keeps trying to follow her. But then she gets chased by a wild dog, and Link saves her from that dog.
which Link is bashing a puppet dog into a fence. I don't know why it's funny to me. It shouldn't be. One thing that freaks me out about chimp attacks, okay, here we go, is the way they do it. Most of the time, they don't attack to kill. That's the fucked up part about chimps.
Oh, yeah.
But they attack to establish dominance or to get revenge. Yes, chimps hold fucking grudges.
Dun, dun,
You could piss a
dun.
chimp off and he'll bide his time. And then before you know it, he's ripping your fucking dick off. So anyway, but basically, so chimps go for the hands so the subject can't gather and use their hands to defend or feed themselves. They go for the face to ruin the potentially attracting a mate aspect of your face. And the worst part is that they are notorious for ripping off the external genitalia. Basically, a chimp is going to rip your dick off to keep you from reproducing. Now, often this does kill someone because of blood loss and stuff, and they probably do attack these areas mostly just because they're extremely sensitive areas.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, your fingers are stuck out there and stuff like that. Plus, we wear clothes. So, you know, the monk.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you're wearing clothes around chimps. If you're not, you're part of the problem. That's all I'm saying. Stop trying to fuck chimps. Anyway, so like, but you know,
my gosh.
the things that are uncovered are mostly your face and your hands and stuff. As far as the dick, how do they know it's there?
They have dicks.
Yeah, I know, but what the fuck, man? Like, are they ripping it off through the pants?
Probably, yeah.
Jesus, ever loving Christ.
They're not reaching their hands in your pants.
And this is why I don't like chimps. I'm sorry. I don't even trust a capuchin monkey. I don't care how cute it is. I don't care what the hell's the name of that monkey in Friends? Marcel? Marcel can go eat a bag of shit. Like, fuck that monkey. Keep him away from me.
In the jungle.
Oh, God.
Anyway. So David's at school trying to call and talk to Jane, and the phone's ringing, but she finds another phone and talks to him for a minute. But Link is hanging from the telephone wire and the phone goes dead because he's ripped it apart.
Again. And I'll talk about how you could possibly replace Link with a really creepy man, and this movie would take on a whole different side of things, which is really creepy. But
not a whole different side of things. Pretty similar.
Yeah. And that's what's really creepy. Anyway, we'll go into that in a minute.
Yes. So Jane decides to take a bath, and Link is watching her all creepy like. She tries to shut the door, but he barges in, and he won't leave, and he's just staring her down. So she decides against the bath.
Yeah, I would too. This part, and bravo, Lock the Orangutan, for portraying a lecherous Link. In this scene, even his eyes are rapey. I don't know how this monkey pulls off rape eyes, but he did.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's being extremely rapey towards 23-year-old Elizabeth Shue, who this was actually her first nude scene, even though, you know, we don't really see much, but it is her first nude scene in the movie.
So she goes to bed, and it's the next morning now, and Mr. Bailey is there. He's looking for Dr. Phillip, and Jane says that he isn't there. And he said he's going to load the monkeys anyway because they made a deal, and he left the money for him. Jane tells him that Voodoo is dead, and he says that he's going to take Link and put him down. And Jane says that that's not going to happen, and he needs to call the authorities because Dr. Phillip hasn't been home.
So
this is her first mistake.
Yes.
Or I mean, not her first mistake, but
right. So Phillips, Dr. Phillips was probably going to put, well, actually he is, we find out here, he was going to put down Voodoo, and he was going to put down Link because Link's getting older. So Link also found that out.
Being dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And Link is supposed to be a chimp. So chimps hold grudges. So he's fucking, there's all sorts of things working here if you want to go with it.
Right.
He's murdering Dr. Phillip to keep from dying, but also to fuck
Jane.
God, this movie's fucking weird. Oh, yeah, you are. Okay. So you may be wondering why I keep going on the fact that Richard Franklin was using the Hitchcock method of suspense. Basically, to sum up how Hitchcock would create a mood of suspense would be to imagine two scenarios. Okay, first scenario. A couple sits at a table discussing the day's events or what have you, and they suddenly see a bomb under the table ticking away. No suspense really there, right? Except for the characters. The characters are in suspense because of what to do next. Okay, but think of that this next scenario. Now, this time, we, the audience, sees the bomb set to explode in 10 minutes, but the couple doesn't know. It's there, the time ticks away, and we are watching, begging for the couple to look under the table. Is this bomb going to explode? Will the couple survive? Will they see the bomb? Somebody please look at the fucking bomb. That's suspense. And Franklin does use it in the way we know Philip is dead. We know these apes have snapped.
Right.
But Elizabeth and no one else knows.
Jane.
Elizabeth Shue is who I was thinking. I'm sorry. I forgot about the on-the-nose Jane name.
Yes.
But anyway, that's how the suspense in this movie does work very well.
Right.
I'd say Link does suspense pretty decently. Like,
oh yeah,
it's a good movie.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, even though I'm sitting here trashing it.
It's a good suspense movie.
Yes, it is.
So Link comes out and Bailey grabs a gun to shoot him with a trank. Imp is letting the air out of the tire for the van. And Link takes the gun and Bailey tries to drive off. The van won't start, of course, because, you know, all the horror movies.
Yeah.
And Link tips the van, then drops it down. Bailey gets it started and drives off.
I do like the van lifting thing where Link lifts this fucking van. But what also fascinated Richard Franklin was the idea that an animal could act like a human. It's fucking weird, isn't it? Link in this movie could easily be replaced with an overbearing man who really likes Jane and isn't receiving the affection he wants, so he snaps.
Right.
That's fascinating to me. Like how an animal could be a human, but not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
right.
It's really weird. It's really weird because Link can be replaced easily with a human being in this movie. Like, and that's what makes him all the more terrifying. Like, he's not supposed to be this way.
Right.
Everything we knew about apes and stuff, unless you research apes and shit like that, because I'm sure this movie is loaded with wild inaccuracies. But like everything we know about monkeys and stuff is like turned upside down in this movie. I mean, yeah, we got killer apes and stuff in some low budget B movies and shit like that. We got that. We got King Kong and stuff like that. But to take a traditional like chimp or something like that and put him in a movie and make him a horror villain, that's a little different, you know. They started really diving into that around these time periods with Monkey Shines and some other killer monkey movies and stuff like that. But like, for the most part, that's not, you know, we see these things and we think of them as cute.
Right.
You know? It's mostly the eyes. It's what's in the eyes.
In the eyes.
It is. It's what makes, you know, kittens and puppies and stuff. What makes us attracted to them and think they're cute. The same thing with monkeys because they have those human eyes that stare right back at you.
They're so cute, though.
Monkeys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cute.
When they're babies.
But then they get all big and rip your fucking dick off.
I don't have a dick.
You know, that's a good question. What do they do to the women? Do they punch them in the vagina or what?
I don't know.
Fuck.
I don't know. Probably rip their tits off or something.
Chimps are fucked up, man. It's fucking creeping me out.
So I'm getting you that for your birthday?
That's going to be my fucking luck. Somebody isn't going to break into our house and kill me. It's going to be a fucking chimp.
It's gonna come
I'm going to be
you.
having my morning coffee, looking out the window.
I thought you were going to say morning wood.
Yeah, well, that too. I'll probably have some morning wood sporting like I do every morning. Got my coffee in hand, just enjoying the day, letting my freak flag fly. And then a fucking chimp is going to bust through the window and rip my dick off. That's what's going to happen to me. That's how I'm going to die. I know it.
How do I explain that was not me to the insurance company?
It was a wild chimp, I tell you.
I tell you.
It was the chimp.
It was not me. God damn it, they're not going to give me the insurance money.
Shit.
Anyway, Jane's cooking and the monkeys are playing outside.
Why does Jane not notice that something's wrong?
Because she's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I just... Okay.
Because she's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So, Link puts Imp in the well and Jane goes and saves him. And she locks Link outside. She goes in and is playing with Imp. And he turns on a recording of the doctor, and Jane realizes that is what she heard the other day when she thought the doctor was in the lab.
Yeah. So it's hard to imagine what went on behind the scenes because Richard Franklin got soured to his own movie. He did not.
No, because it wasn't the
end,
Jaws.
Yes. In the end, he did not like this. After all said and done, Richard Franklin said this film was an overall unpleasant experience. Not so much making of, but what happened. When the film was bought for American release by Universal, they cut 8 minutes out of this thing. Then Golan and Globus, who ran Canon and bought out EMI, who had produced this movie originally, they helped distribute it in the US and they cut more out of it and added that prologue with the intro scene.
So fucking stupid.
They added that. So most of the studio interference really kind of fucked up his art here as he would see it. And in the end, they cut 13 minutes out of this movie.
Ooh.
That's what we're looking at here. That's what I was saying. Those deleted scenes are actually kind of important to the plot.
Right. Why did they do that?
To try to... Okay, so when you add the deleted scenes in, like I said, this movie becomes more psychological.
Right.
Like, it's not a straightforward horror movie.
Right.
And that's not what Richard... That's not what... why did I forget his name? That's not what Richard Franklin set out to do with Link. He was not making a straightforward horror movie, just more of a thriller, a scientific thriller. And when they cut it down, what they were aiming to do was to try and make it more of a horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and yeah, Link is horror, but at the same time, it's not.
Right.
Like, that's what's a little different about this movie. And that's why Richard Franklin just kind of washed his hands of this final cut, you know?
He's like, fuck, what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because he fought against the cuts and stuff like that. He fought against that.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
I mean, one of these nights, I'll have to show you those deleted scenes. And you're like, what the fuck are these out of the movie for?
Right.
Because there's so many parts that you're like, oh, because the part where he gives her the book that I told you about that he signed with that salacious little comment in it. Well, then that explains why later in the lab, he apologizes to her.
Yes.
About the night before.
Yeah, because I was like, why is he apologizing?
Yeah,
Nothing
he
really
apologizes to her about the night before, and he also gives her a copy of his new manuscript.
Right.
It almost like makes up for kind of him being a creepy weirdo the night before. So that explains that. There's just so many there's so many weird ass scenes in this movie after you cut all that shit out.
Right. So Jane takes some binoculars to the top of the house to see if she can see his car anywhere. And she actually sees Dr. Bailey's van. She goes to check it out and the radio is going. She tries to start the van, but it won't start. And of course, Link is there and she tells him they are all going to go to town together. She tells Link to help her push the van so she can get it started. And she finally does get it started, but it dies again.
Right.
Link keeps pushing it, and Jane jumps out before it falls over the cliff. She then sees the doctor's car is over the cliff too.
Yeah, and I guess just now she starts thinking, oh, he must be dead. It's like, lady.
He's been missing for how many fucking days now? He wasn't supposed to leave.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah. One thing that carries this film is the cinematography by Mike Malloy. And I explained earlier how we have these beautiful shots of this countryside and stuff like that.
Oh, in the ocean?
Honestly, yeah. I wanted to stay with that. Like when you get outside the house and you see the ocean and the waves lapping the rocks and stuff like that, you're just kind of like, I kind of want to stay out here. Can we do that?
Right.
But Malloy worked on Barry Lyndon, and A Clockwork Orange with Stanley Kubrick. So he applies some of the things he probably learned there here. So you have these amazing shots, and there's a lot of cool little camera techniques and stuff that we see, which one is where Link is hiding under the stairs, where she goes walking up and then it pans over and he's just in the darkness and all you see is his face. That is a
fucking creepy.
Great fucking shot.
Oh, yeah.
So with all this talk about Randy Primates, this may have you wondering, is there monkey-human romance novels?
I fucking hope not.
Before I answer that, a word of warning, never ever Google monkey-human porn. It never ends good. And I'm pretty sure the FBI agent that watches my computer is probably trying to get a hold of me to see if I'm okay.
Were the noises. Those were the noises that were coming from your computer yesterday.
You just look over and I'm just like I'm white and just fucking no, I'm not jerking off the monkey porn. Anyway, yeah, don't look that up. But okay, back to the question. No, thank fucking Jesus there isn't. But there was a lot of alarming pictures depicting Donkey Kong doing some wild stuff to Mario, so I guess that's the same thing.
So Jane then asks Link where Dr. Phillips is. They walk back to the house and Jane starts to run away from Link because now she's fucking scared. I don't fucking know.
You just saw this fucking thing pick up a van. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm blowing its head off.
Right. So Imp opens the door for her just in time and takes her to the gun safe and tells her to kill Link.
Do it.
Do it, motherfucker.
And kill this one too.
Right.
Fuck all the monkeys. So we should mention the work of the Trimates, who are the three leading researchers on great apes. Jane Goodall, who we mentioned before, researched chimps. Diane Fossey, who researched gorillas, and Barut I'm going to mispronounce the fuck out of this.
Galdicus?
Barut Galdicus, who studied orangutans. Now, these three women shaped what we know about these apes. Okay, so I know every question. Is he going to talk about ape rape?
We already have.
But is he going to talk about a story?
Of course.
Of course, I'm going to add a story in here. So one horror story comes from Galdicus, who told the story about her and her cook that were in the jungle researching, and a overly sexually aggressive orangutan pinned the poor cook to the ground, forcibly copulating with her with penetration and all.
Oh, no.
The women looked at it more of like an animal attack than anything, but fuck.
Oh,
so yes,
God.
There is a documented case of orangutan rape.
Nice, I guess. No, not nice. Bad. Bad.
I had to include it. But at the same time, I was reading it and I was just mortified. I left out a lot of detail that's gonna keep me up at night. But like,
oh no,
fucking hell! So yes, there are cases of a monkey having sex or raping a female. They, like I said, they didn't look at it as rape, really, like because it's a monkey.
But still,
at the same time, how much therapy?
All of it.
Do you need?
All of it.
Because I mean, it's not like you can arrest the orangutan. Bring him up on rape charges. I don't know what you do in that scenario. Like I said, you blow its brains out.
Kill it. Yes.
Start shooting monkeys. No,
right.
I'm just joking. Please don't shoot monkeys. Oh my God. We're going to see on the 6 o'clock news, some dude went nuts at the Tulsa Zoo and fucking killed a bunch of monkeys. They're not ripping my dick off.
Oh my God.
Where did you hear this from? That Night of the Horror File, they know their shit. Like, oh fuck, no. This is not good publicity.
Oh my God. Anyway, so Link is now in the workings of the house. Like he's like under the floor somewhere. I don't know. And Imp is scared, and Jane is trying to listen to where Link is. Link finally makes it to the door that she has locked because she's locking herself in the room. She grabs the gun and shoots at the door. She doesn't kill Link, but she does hurt him because he's bleeding.
Yeah.
And she takes Imp and they go into the cellar through the cave.
Imp kind of, like I said, he acts as the gizmo of this movie, but have you noticed how many weird reaching connections I keep making to Gremlins?
Yeah, what the fuck
What the fuck is that about? Why am I connecting all these movies?
I have no idea.
Oh, fuck.
I have no idea. So David and his friends are
These dipshits are driving up.
they're driving to the house because he's worried about Jane. They get to the house and see blood all in the house and go looking for Jane.
Of course, we got to mention the song by the Kinks that plays during this driving scene.
Yes.
A song called Ape Man from their Lola album. The lyrics are kind of fitting because it talks about, wanting to go back to the jungle and stuff like that. But I fucking love this song. And every time we've watched this twice now.
Right.
And every time I keep listening to that song over and over again through the week. So I know this song by memory. But yeah, it's great. I don't know why they included a Kink song. That's the funny part. It's just there in the middle.
Because they're singing about monkeys, though. It fit. That's
I guess that's a way to break up the tension a little bit, but yeah.
So one of the guys doesn't want to be there, so he says he's going to wait outside. And he, for some reason, looks in the well when he goes outside, and he sees Dr. Phillip in a cage at the bottom of the well.
Yeah.
And Link pushes him in the well and kills him.
I could have used like a head rip, like a dick rip. Ripping dicks.
Right.
That's what Link should have been doing through this movie. If he's a real chimp, he would have been ripping dicks off.
But he's an orangutan.
I know, but I mean, yeah. I mean, we get our ape carnage, and I get it. We talked about this. This movie wasn't supposed to be an all out and out horror movie, but at the same time, you're finally getting to the ape carnage, and he pushes a man in a well. That's a death scene.
And Dr. Phillip doesn't look like he has any blood on him.
I know, he's just really white. It's like he got scared. Like
they scared him to death. Oh my goodness.
Oh shit.
So Jane and Imp walk down to the car to see if Dr. Phillip is in it.
He's dead, lady.
She didn't get to see that. We did.
I know, but come on. you put it all together here.
Anyway, well, he isn't there. Imp runs off, so Jane chases after him, and she gets scared when she sees Bailey dead on the side of the mountain. And she kind of falls and hurts herself a little bit. The guys are still looking around the house, and one of them gets killed by looking into the mail slot and Link pulling him through it.
Which is a weird fucking death.
It's so weird.
Like, I appreciate it, but I mean, you still don't really see much. But like, I do appreciate a hand. I don't. Can you pull an arm through a mail slot?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know. Link did, but I mean, at least show us the arm getting ripped off. Give me something.
He doesn't rip the
here.
arm off.
No, that's what I mean. I want the arm though. I want him to
He
be pulled
ripped
through
the whole
there.
person through there. You didn't see the
I
hole.
missed it.
You didn't see the hole in the door. You didn't see the hole in the door.
Oh my god, I forgot he does rip in through the fucking door.
Right, he pulls
That's
the whole person.
That is a fucking cartoon death.
It is.
I need
It is.
gore. I need dick rips. I need him to eat a face.
We need some blood.
We didn't get any of that shit. And you
No.
probably would have if Richard Franklin may have caved a little bit and gave us a man in a monkey suit. Maybe then we would have had our gore, because I mean, you can't legitimately make these monkeys kill a person. Fuck, that would make for an interesting movie.
Oh, that would be weird.
But anyway, yeah, so we get a lot of like weird deaths
Yeah.
starting out, yeah. So while most kids my age, at the point I watched Link, were into Dunstan Checks In and films where the monkey is more of a cartoon to project human emotion on, I was watching movies like Congo, King Kong, Monkey Shines, and of course Link. I think that's why I don't have such a connection with monkeys to this day. If you notice, they freak me out. Maybe because I firmly believe that these are our evolutionary cousins who come from the same ancestor. So when a monkey looks at you, it's kind of like looking into what we could be if humans didn't invent the concept of morals. Either
Ooh.
that or I'm worried about my dick. All in all, I had a weird fucking childhood when you really think about it.
That's very true. Oh my gosh. I remember when we were first doing this movie and your mom's like, what movie are you guys going to do this week? We're like, Link. And she's like, oh my God, I love that movie. I'm like,
Yeah. You're
what
like,
the
you
fuck?
love the movie?
What the hell?
Oh my God.
Anyway, so Jane walks back through the cave and goes into the house.
Mhm.
She finds Link sitting on the table in his suit with a butter knife.
Make me a sandwich.
He grabs her and she slaps him away, and she realizes that David is there. Then we see him under the floorboards because I guess Link has attacked him.
Yeah, we don't see this
No.
because he has a broken leg and everything. I want to see that man's leg get busted.
Heck yeah. Anyway, so Jane gets in David's car and Link is chasing her. So she tries to run him over, but he ends up jumping on the car. She hits the house to get him off the car. He climbs a rope. The rope breaks and he falls into the car. She thinks he's dead and goes to check, of course, because she's fucking stupid. And David yells at her from the window and tells her to go. But she runs upstairs to get David instead, and his leg is broken, and they hobble into the lab.
Man, if Ash was here, he would have already blown this monkey's face off.
There would have been no movie.
Yeah, he would have just killed this monkey right off.
Right?
I don't trust that monkey. While we don't get a lot of graphic deaths, as sadly, the suspense and the tension does rack up here in these later scenes. Now, we talked a little. Oh no, we don't have to talk about that. We already did. But it does rack up a little in these scenes, which is kind of nice.
Right.
Because I get what you meant. It is slow. And
it's slow until the end.
Yeah, and without the deleted scenes, it's unnecessarily slow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they get some wood and tape and fix up his leg, and she's telling him about Link and the doctor, and Link goes to the roof and is breaking through the windows on the ceiling. They run out of the lab and try to make it to the car. Link meets them at the door, so they make their way to the cellar.
Well, Link is always one step ahead. So while it is tense, we get a lot of lame cat and mouse here. Like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which it just kind of drags out the runtime, honestly. While this last part is fun and pretty great to watch, it also drops all the discussion questions from the first part and turns to just straight thriller. This movie goes from something that could have been smart to just monkey carnage.
Just monkey.
Yeah. Something I think it probably should have just stuck to the whole time. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It should have been one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jane says that they have to outthink Link. She sees the gas line and it's blowing freely into the house. So she starts saying that smoking is bad and that he shouldn't smoke. So he grabs some matches because he doesn't listen. And
it's more like, bitch, tell me to not smoke in my own house. I'll smoke my cigars if I want.
So Jane and David hide in the cave because they know the house is going to catch fire. And the house does catch fire when Link lights the match. But he doesn't get hurt at all.
This monkey has the powers of an X-Men. There is a discussion earlier about Link mastering fire and stuff and not being afraid of it. And that leads to his downfall here at the end. So it's kind of a little bit of foreshadowing. There's also a deleted scene that goes much more into that.
No.
It talks, how Link isn't afraid of the fire, but he doesn't possess the knowledge of how to master it. And Dr. Phillips relates that to one of the things that separates us from the apes, how we've mastered fire.
Right.
We've mastered it in the bomb and like all sorts of stuff. We've mastered fire. And so that kind of separates us from the ape world. So it kind of foreshadows this stuff and makes more fucking sense.
It doesn't really make sense.
No, none of it makes sense without the deleted scenes though. But anyway, yeah, so Link Says, fuck you, I'm gonna smoke.
Right. So Jane and David go further into the cave to get away from the fire, and Link is just hanging out in the house watching it burn. But he does eventually collapse into the fire and die.
His cartoon falls into the fire.
Right.
Link just wanted to get him some Elizabeth Shue, and now he's done in by his own habit of smoking and trying to be people.
Thank God.
Like I discussed how it is a smart movie, or at least it tries its best to be smart. Like this ending, what does that say? Like, is there anything to be had by that? That's what kind of makes like the beginnings of this movie more pompous than anything.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's trying to be a lot bigger than it probably should have been.
Right.
And so, and then at the end, like the monkey is done in by fire that he didn't master. Is that what we're?
The monkey is dumb.
The monkey is dumb. We smart.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like, okay, man.
That's kind of how it ended.
Yeah.
But it's daylight now, and Jane and David drive away. On their way, they find Imp and pick him up. And David is worried, and Jane says that Imp is fine. But as they drive away, all the sheep in the field are dead.
Because Imp killed them. Which,
dun, dun, dun.
again, leave out that fucking opening scene, and this would have been more impactful.
Okay, so I have a question about that opening scene.
Okay.
I wanted to wait till the end to ask you. So was that opening scene filmed in America?
No.
It wasn't.
No. This is a strictly British production. But the thing is about that opening scene, when you include it, this little like stinger scene at the end, or not
Right.
stinger, but this little sequel opener or whatever, because Imp is shown to have killed all these sheep. Like this ending is more impactful if you leave off that opening, because that opening is obviously Imp going out and killing cats and shit.
Right.
So leave that off, and then this end has a more of a shock to it. It's like, oh
Right.
fuck, that monkey's fucked up too.
Right.
So
right.
so that's why I don't really care for a lot of that opening thing.
Right.
I suppose you could look at this this end thing here with the dead sheep as a sequel setup. Being that Imp probably murdered all these things. Well, probably he did. I don't know what else would have killed him besides maybe the flu.
Did you just say the flu?
I said the flu.
What kind of flu? The swine flu?
The sheep flu.
The sheep flu.
The sheep flu.
One sheep, two sheep.
Oh fuck, we've been talking about Link way too long. But Richard Franklin. Okay, now you're gonna get a kick out of this because he was upset. As great of a filmmaker as Richard Franklin really was, he was a great filmmaker. He did a lot of good films, but he had a thing for Spielberg and Hitchcock, and it is very apparent, especially with the way he talks. Richard Franklin did mention that before he started disliking this production and stuff, and before it got ruined by the studios and things, he had an idea for a sequel that wouldn't take place in this continuity. Now, he cited Spielberg because Spielberg wanted to do the same thing. If he was allowed to do Jaws 2, Spielberg would have just done a completely separate story and based it around the Indianapolis, which if you know Jaws, you'll know what the Indianapolis was. So Franklin wanted to do a new story where a researcher in Africa becomes entangled in an ape war.
Oh my God, he needs to let the apes go.
Yeah. So luckily we didn't get that because it sounds so ridiculous. I don't know if
The Jaws of the ape world.
yeah. Link surprisingly didn't do well. Most people went on, and in fact, most people who even know about this movie went on to find it on video. It had a very limited theatrical release in the US and stuff like that.
What a shock.
I know. Strangely, nobody enjoyed this movie very much. I like it. This, as I said, was a strange childhood favorite of mine. And before our first attempt at covering it for episode 7 of our show, I hadn't seen it in years. But the DVD is out there, luckily, and everyone should give it a chance. I mean, it's an entertaining little movie. for the most part.
Right.
It might be boring to some, like you said, is a little draggy and stuff like that in parts. But as much as I did rag on it tonight, because it is fun to make fun of this movie. It's great. I enjoy it. But I could go on. As you know, I should ask you, what did you think about 1986? 86's Link.
I liked it. I liked that it was just like a simple little monkey flick. I mean, I wish there was more gore.
Right.
Because I like gore in my movies.
Yeah.
But for what it was fine.
Yeah, and the comparison between Hitchcock's The Birds and this, that's a much more similar movie. Don't
really?
forget about Jaws.
Forget about Jaws.
It's not Jaws with chimps, but it's more like The Birds. I would liken the mood and stuff more to The Birds and Psycho 2, which Richard Franklin did direct. And Psycho 2 is honestly, if you've never pulled the trigger on those Psycho sequels, all of them, 4 gets a little weird.
Why is there so many? I hate sequels. I think
But
it's stupid.
those sequels are actually very good. And Anthony Perkins stars in 2 of them. He goes on to do 2 and 3. But those are pretty good. So pull the trigger on those. But I guess we'll put a pin in Link. We finally completed this episode.
Finally.
We finally, after about a year, finally got around to do Link, and I'm happy, and I feel like a chapter is closed on this. New year, new us.
Oh my God.
Oh, rip my dick off right now. Anyway,
I'm thinking about it.
Anyway, but next week, we're getting off the land, and we're going to
The ocean?
well, sort of the ocean. Yeah, I was supposed to say.
Are we watching Jaws?
The lake? No, we are not watching Jaws.
Okay.
In fact, and this is our first aquatic horror movie, in fact. And you would think we'd do Jaws.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah, you'd think we'd do Jaws, but we are unpredictable here at Night of the Horror File.
Are we?
Well, look at December. We did Evil Dead. Next week, we are watching Piranha, Joe Dante's Jaws ripoff, I guess you could call it. Joe Dante's story of Piranha. I mean, what else do you want? It's Piranha eating people, and we get some gore, and it's going to be a good time. So have you ever seen any Piranha? Not the new one. They remade it, and they made it as a comedy, which what you should do.
No, I haven't
You
seen
haven't
anything.
seen anything with the Piranha? Okay, yeah, you're going to have a good time.
There's a guy on TikTok that has piranhas and he feeds them. He sounds like a mob boss and he's like really creepy about it.
Oh, fuck, he's fed somebody to those things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. But he keeps them in a tank in his house.
Well, anyway.
He's like, they're not scared of me. That's because they're eating a fucking steak that you fed him. They don't want your finger.
They love you. You're feeding them steak. But anyway, until next time, when we head to the sea and get our dicks ripped off another way.
A different way.
A different way. Luckily, there are no... there's no piranha rape, so don't worry about that. But until next time, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
My dick!
Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.